If you're a business owner or a business leader and you're managing all the functions of your C-suite, subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and let's start talking about how you can make the most use of your time so that you can enjoy life and keep the dream alive. Welcome to another episode of Fractional with Chris Capone and Associates. I have my good friend and neighbor, actually, Wells Struble here. He's a serial entrepreneur and exited your first business when you were how old?
I think we were 24.
Yeah. How rad is that? So Wells, serial entrepreneur, exited his first business when he was 24 years old. And he's going to tell us about his story and all the stuff he's been up to. And I'll hand it over.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, Chris. This is
man.
Cool. Never done a podcast, so appreciate it. So I'm Wells. I, went to UNCW, graduated back in 2008, came to Wilmington, UNCW to be on the track team, studied business. A few of my suite mates from UNCW, their names are Jason and Rocco. We started after college, a couple years after college, we started a frozen yogurt shop. And it went pretty well. It was called the Fuzzy Peach.
Oh yeah,
I
remember. Yep.
Yeah, so we started the first one on Racine Drive, right next to campus, and didn't know what we were doing. Scrounged together our, little bit of cash that we had, because we all graduated in the middle of the recession.
That's right. Yeah, that'd be an interesting time to be getting out into the workforce.
Exactly. Huh? So my first job was actually out of college. I was lucky. I graduated a semester early, and so that was like right pre-recession. It was like December 07.
Yep.
So got my first job, and Rocco and Jason were later, and my wife Kelly, who I also met while at UNCW, same year as us. But anyways, they struggled to find jobs a little bit right out of school, and everyone, of course, wants to stay in Wilmington. But my first job was out at International Paper in Riegelwood. I was in cost accounting.
No way.
Yeah, and studied finance at UNCW, and then went into cost accounting, manufacturing accounting, and realized that was not for me. It was just, it was exactly what you would expect. Working at a paper mill, and there was parts that were fun, and I learned a lot. But anyways, so we all graduated, got jobs, went separate ways, and Jason was working in at Citibank, I think, and loans, and Rocco was out selling copiers. And
that's a grind of a job.
In a recession too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to buy this $5,000 copier, and you're struggling to make payroll.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was a struggle he had, but yeah, so we scrounged together the little cash we had. I think if I remember right, it was $10,000 a piece. So we put in $30,000, and then we borrowed $26,000 from friends and family.
Nice.
And we opened the door, and we had $500 in the bank account left the night we opened. That was all we had left to get the store open.
Gosh.
And fortunately, it was a success, and we made money the first night. And it was like, wow,
Unbelievable.
But yeah, we were 22 at the time. It was fun because, my wife, Kelly, who you know well, also, she was fully supportive of it.
Yeah.
And
were you guys married at the time?
We got married when we were 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you guys left college.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met our freshman year.
Nice.
So at the end of our freshman year. So
cool.
Anyways, we started Fuzzy Peach, learned a lot. We were one of the first frozen yogurt shops on the East Coast. And so we hit the curve at the right time. And basically within a month we realized, like, wow, this is working. We like,
holy crap, this is actually working.
I think it was within like 60 days we had made our money back.
No way.
Yeah. And so we were like, wow, okay, this is a great business,
Yeah.
And things were going well, and it was really fun marketing. Social media had just gotten, no worries.
your wife, Chris.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's fine. Fair enough. Don't cut that. Let's let the record stay.
Yeah, I'm actually going to tell her that she interrupted my podcast. Oh, no, that's good. So anyways, it was going great. We made some money quickly, and basically within the first, it was at around 60 days in, we signed a lease for our second location, and took the risk there. It was up in Porter's Neck area.
Yeah.
And the day that we opened that location, the same day we opened, we signed the lease for our third one,
Oh my
which
gosh.
is downtown.
And was this all kind of like organically funded at this point?
Yeah.
Like just using
No investors. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We
How
paid
cool.
back our family, and we didn't pay ourselves back, obviously. Right. And we reinvested all the money. We barely, lived off of anything.
Yeah.
Which we could do at that point in our lives.
Yeah.
Nobody had kids.
Yeah.
Rocco and Jason weren't married yet.
Yep.
And so the day we opened our third location, literally the same day, we signed a lease for our fourth location in Monkey Junction.
Yeah.
And then soon thereafter, we opened a fifth location in Carolina Beach. And all throughout that process, we were just learning like all the ins and outs of working on a business instead of like in a business, right? Yep. And basically treated it like our MBA. And so we said, how do we scale this more, and not take as much risk? Because we realized the risks we were taking signing on, commercial leases over and over and over.
Yeah.
And also, spending whatever it was, $200,000 per store at that
For
point.
equipment and
Yeah.
startup.
Yeah,
and
we
all
got
that.
somehow we opened the first one with $66,000 or whatever. I don't know how.
Yeah,
But,
how'd you guys do that? Did you find like was it used equipment and all that kind of bootstrapping it a little bit?
So when we were, obviously buddies. We all had our corporate jobs before we opened the stores, and this is when we had Blackberries, right? And we were texting all day long at our desks, like thinking of business ideas. Like we knew we wanted to open a business,
Yeah.
and we knew we wanted to be small business people.
Right.
We didn't know what it should be,
Mm-hmm.
and anyways, we're just texting every idea you could think of. It came across our Blackberries, and one time Rocco went and visited a friend in California,
I was gonna say,
and he saw frozen yogurt. It wasn't really being done self-serve out there, but he saw it was I think it was a Pinkberry that he went to. But anyways, he saw frozen yogurt concept, and he took a picture of his cup and sent it, on the Blackberries to us, and said, "This is
probably
it."
super pixelated, like you
pixelated
barely
and
see
little,
it.
and you got to scroll with the ball to see what he's looking at.
Yeah.
And so anyways, he said, "This is it." So we just started doing our due diligence and research, and poking holes in the business plan, and we realized like, hey, we actually think we have the means to do this. So Jason was the first one to take the leap and quit his job, and he left Citigroup, and we flew him to California. He slept on someone's couch, and he got a job managing a yogurt shop for about 60 days.
Oh
Yep.
my god.
Yeah, and just to learn as much as he could. Yeah, because we didn't know, right?
Yeah.
And so he did that, and we learned a ton, and then actually brought him back to Wilmington, and we were like, let's get some more like kind of more corporate, because that was just a single shop. Let's get him some more like corporate systemized experiences. So we got him a job. We were like, go work at McDonald's. So he worked at McDonald's for about 30 days. Yeah. And, they were like, oh, look at this guy. He's so smart. He's college. They wanted to send him to McDonald's University and make him a manager and all this stuff. And then, he did it for like, I think a month.
Yeah.
And then we opened our first location. But over in California, bought used equipment.
Yep.
We had these big yogurt machines. It was $20,000. That was the big purchase. And shipped them over. They sat in, Rocco and Jason still lived together at the time, and they sat in their garage for however many months until, we got the store open. But anyways, we just bootstrapped it and figured it out and did all the work in the store ourselves, and,
That's so wild.
yeah, got lucky, because now the permitting process in pretty much any municipality, not just Wilmington, but is just so much more intensive, and we would have never gotten away with what we got away with to get the store open. So anyways, we got it open. Then the stores progressively got more and more expensive. And we said, how do we make this how do we make this into a more legitimate business? I mean, we were making great money to be, I think, 23 at the time. And we said, okay, well, people had said, why don't you franchise it? Let's make it a franchise. And we're like, all right, let's learn franchising.
Yeah.
And so we brought in this, consultant. You pay a bunch of money. It's, basically $100,000 to get all the legal stuff, everything done. Start franchising, and at the time, social media was a lot easier to get the word out back then because it was kind of, I guess, Instagram, I don't know if it existed yet or not, but Facebook was like, if you made a post, everyone that followed you saw the post.
Got it. There weren't all these algorithms
exactly.
and paid BS and all that.
And so anyways, so that's how we built our following back then. I don't remember how many followers we had or whatever, but and we were like, okay, cool. We know how to sell a $4 cup of yogurt, and let's build this franchise system. So we worked on the business, got everything together, and said, here's our franchise program, and put it out there to the world. Did a press release on Business Journal, Star News, all the local stuff. And, even some statewide publications picked it up, and nothing happened. And we were like, interesting. How do we do this? And basically, we had to come to the realization that we're no longer selling a $4 cup of yogurt. We're selling a $250,000 investment.
Right.
And we had to be able to sell that investment to people rather than sell the cup of yogurt to, a family of four or whatever. So once we did that, we kind of took a step back. We started working with someone who had a lot of franchise experience as a consultant. And we actually gave away our first 3 stores, I think.
Okay.
So we
just to kind of get something,
to
get it going
started.
a little bit.
That's right. Yeah. And started franchising, and they were successful out the gate, and sold more franchises, and then just started building it. And at the time, we got up to we had 17 stores open, and we had 3 more that were about to open. And another 20 that were committed to be opened. And we were as far as Texas and Michigan, Pennsylvania.
What year was this?
Yeah, I want to say it was like 2014, I think, or 2013.
And the first store was what, 2010, 2011?
Yeah, 2010, July 2010 we opened.
So within 6 years, you guys went from...
No, it was like 4 years. I think we sold in 2013.
Okay.
Now that I think about it, I'm bad at that, this stuff. Too many things in my head. But yeah, so it was within 3.5 years from we opened the first one to sold the company.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So when you sold the company, how many were how many stores did you guys still own, and then how many franchise shops did you have?
So we had our 5, and then there was 17 total, and then the 20 more in development. And as we started franchising more and more, and the systemization came into place, we were selling off our corporate stores in the process. And so we were down to 1 corporate store left, kind of towards the tail end.
Was that the original?
Yeah, the Racing Drive
the
one.
OG, the OG shop.
Yeah, just because we had a pulse on that one, and it was easy to market to the college students. And we did all the training there, so we'd bring people to Wilmington, do all the training.
Unbelievable, man.
So anyways, we towards the end, we kind of saw the writing on the wall that we had heard that back in the 80s, TCBY and frozen yogurt had another big spike and crash. And so we were kind of cognizant of that potentially happening again. And so we saw it starting to happen because we kind of saw signs that it could happen. And so that's where we started to say, look, let's hand this program off to a bigger entity that could weather that storm, because so many people, without being industry specific, they'd come into a yogurt shop and be like, this is fun. I want to open a business like this. I could do this. I know where to buy Oreos and M&Ms and ice cream machine is all I got to buy. And so anyways, the barriers to entry were kind of low.
Right.
And so the supply started to really creep up, and there was frozen yogurt shops everywhere. And we had a strong foothold, in the markets we were in, and our stores were doing well. And we saw that writing on the wall, and just a company had reached out to us in the middle of when we started franchising. It was called U-Swirl. They were owned by Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. It was publicly traded, and they reached out to us like early and kind of said, "Hey, this is who we are. This is what we're doing," and we just blew it off. Like, look, we're focused on building our stores right now.
Playing hard to get, working off that.
Well, no, because this was
seriously,
too early on. Because we weren't intending to sell the business, and then now we built it to a sellable value, and we just reached back out to them and said, "Hey, look, is that still kind of the project? This is probably a year or two later. Is that still what you guys are working on, and kind of consolidating chains of yogurt shops our size?" And they were like, "Yeah, and you guys are a prime candidate." And so, they did their due diligence and auditors in, and we did a deal, and their stock price went up 10%. So it was cool.
Unbelievable, man. What a cool story.
But it was right for them, and we felt at the time it was right for the franchisees, which was important to us because we didn't want to just sell to any other mom and pop or something like that that wouldn't necessarily have the infrastructure in place that we thought could support the stores and get buying power of more and more locations to buy down cost of goods and that sort of stuff. So it made sense for us, and that's what we did. So
that's wild.
So that's Fuzzy Peach, and then
when you guys the first night that you guys opened, was it just you, Jason, and
Rocco?
And Rocco, like were you first three employees?
I think for the first month.
Yeah. Who was employee of the month the first month?
Yeah, I guess.
Probably Jason.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. There's a lot of funny stories that
my
happen
gosh, I couldn't
because we're all college roommates too.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we're young adults at the time, 22 or something, or 23.
Yeah.
And
then so you guys were like the first three employees, and then how many employees did you guys have? I guess like when you still had just like your corporate stores, like before you started the franchise.
Yeah, good question. We had I think we would roll through about 150 part-time employees through the course of a year. Yeah, because it's mostly college students, working for tip money and not minimum wage, but close.
And
then we started to build layers of management, started to get really fun. And then we started to build, franchise executive team members, and it was cool. One of our first hires, like from our first core group of employees, stuck with us through the whole company, and we even gave her a piece of the exit when we sold the business because she was so integral.
She was a key employee.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So then you guys, you sell the business, and you're how old at this point?
Yeah, I think I was 25 or 4. Yeah.
So what'd you do after
I was 25.
Like first, made some real money and
well, the thing is, it was a lot of money then. If you add it all, it's in the press, like it's not a secret. But if you add it all up, it was like around $2 million.
Oh, cool.
And we split it between 3 guys, right?
That's awesome,
and we were 25 years old or something.
You're in the first business that you ever started.
Yeah, first one.
Right?
Yeah. We had little ones in college, like random little things, like Rocco and Jason were doing boat detailing, and I had businesses growing up, like I had, I called it Struble services, but I do lawn care for people and random things. Yeah. And so the first legit consumer facing business. As an adult.
That doesn't really happen for a lot of entrepreneurs.
No, we know we're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we put in the work, and we made the right decisions.
Yeah.
Played it right. So, at the same time, we could give ourselves a pat on the back for that. But also it was just the timing, and we were lucky.
I was gonna say, I've had my brother and sister live in Southern California, and every time I go, California is always on the cutting edge of what the new trend is gonna be, right?
Yeah.
And so it's so funny when you say that. Yeah, we sent Jason out to go, check it out in California, and then bring it back here. But hey, timing that's life, and that's business. I mean, timing is critical, man.
Yeah, big part of it.
So during that, so it sounds. I mean, from what it sounds like, it was a good idea, right timing, right place. Did you guys hit any points where any roadblocks or hurdles where you really kind of had to strap down and be oh, we got to reassess our business plan, our model?
Well, definitely on the franchising thing. When we tried to start franchising.
Yeah.
The cool thing is it's very easy to market for a dessert shop, and the customer service, we had our core values as a business, and customer service, like world-class customer service is what we always said. But
Yep.
when it's a self-serve environment, kind of business model, like how can you give extra customer service? That's what we always strove for. And so even in design of our stores, we would leave a gap in the bar so that employees had easier access
To walk
and
around.
quicker access to be on the other side and actually interact with the customer.
Cool.
Not just stand behind the bar and the register.
Right.
So anyways, little things like that we, really focused on. But as far as hurdles, that the franchising route, learning it, and like I said, switching, and, we failed for 3 months at it or 6 months or whatever it was, like nothing happened. And, but then, we realized we took a step back and realized what the product we were selling was a $250,000 investment, not the, sprinkles and Oreos.
Yeah.
Um,
So let's get back. So, all right. So you're 25, 26 years old. You just, sold a business, made some real money.
yeah, sold our
what'd you-
job away.
What'd you do?
Well,
Did you go on vacation or like take a trip or something? Or?
I think I just kind of went right to work. Like, yeah, because you sold your job away, and
that's
it's
right.
not like it's enough money to just go sailing the rest of your life,
Yeah.
And so, just started doing some consulting. I just plugged in at the CIE at UNCW, Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, when that was starting up, and I would just go there and hang out, just to try to meet, like, who's working on what today, because I was kind of like a free guy, like trying to figure out what to do next.
What a cool stage to be at.
Yeah. So I would just hang out there, and then a few things happened. Worked on a couple projects, like consulting wise, and that's also the time that we bought the lot down in Seabreeze, which is where we live.
What timing to do that?
It was perfect.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It was great. So, and then started building the house. And, did a lot of the work ourselves. Like, we learned so much about development and building from building all the Fuzzy Peach locations that just built our own house.
Right.
And so that was
so. Did you? I mean, I guess you kind of GC'd your own house, right?
Yeah. Well, I had a GC.
Okay.
Because I didn't have full time to do all of it.
Right.
So I had a GC, but kept boundaries on how much I wanted him to do versus me and Kelly were in there doing it all ourselves. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So literally drew the plans. That's kind of something I would say is like a hobby of mine. Like, and Kelly would attest to this. Like, I'll sit in bed and just like draw like, floor plans and elevations and like design things. And anyways, that's what I like to do sometimes. But so drew the plans for the house, built the house. Love living there, and then was consulting for helped a friend, a local business. It's called Cloudwise. I helped Sean. I've known him for a long time.
Yep.
Helped him do at the time it was $1 million capital raise, and then went full time on board with him for about a year, and as like a CFO, COO kind of position. Helped him kind of restructure, and then saw that it was my time to get out, and got out of that, and we did a little bit more consulting, and then started Tamati, which is what's here on the table.
Oh man, so, I'm thirsty. Why don't we crack one of these for the rest of the conversation?
Well, you pick whichever one you want, and then I'll take.
I saw a ginger one, right?
Yeah, there you go. That's our latest one.
Okay,
so,
cool. I'm gonna roll with the ginger
I'm gonna
here.
go with the rosé.
Sweet.
So we started.
Cheers, brother.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So we started this company in 2015. It was
Very nice. Very nice.
There you go. It was December 2015, so basically the beginning of 2016, and started as a tea-focused cafe. So Kelly had, while she was getting her MBA, kind of wrote a business plan on the side. She was sitting in Starbucks and Port City Javas every day, doing her online MBA, and just saw the number of people that were getting tea, and saw how poorly of a job a coffee shop generally does.
Yeah, because that's not their core competency, right?
Yeah. That's right. And so basically did our own research and wrote an entire business plan, and we just kind of tabled it. This was while we still had Fuzzy Peach. And then basically we're getting kind of bored, and, brought that business plan back out and dusted it off.
Yeah.
And we started it as a cafe in Wilmington, and it was all tea focused. Did you ever go there while it was open?
I haven't.
So anyways, we had a good run. We built it to 3 cafes, one in Wilmington, one in Raleigh, and one in Chapel Hill. Again, with a lot of the same, we'd say we have our core values like lined up, the same ones from Fuzzy Peach we brought into, basically every business that I've been involved with. But so we had the same thing where there was like a gap in the bar, and employees were encouraged to walk out and interact with the customer on all the various. We had like, I don't know, 50 different types of tea on the walls, and could talk to the customers, tell them about what we have, that sort of thing. And so that was the cafes. And in the cafes, we were looking for something to put on in our deli case, like in our grab and go, other than just bottled water and Spindrift, which was all we could really get. And we were like, oh, there's got to be like some really good carbonated teas somewhere. And looked all over and basically didn't see that it existed at the time. And so we started making our own.
You were actually making the tea, right?
Yeah, in the cafes. Yeah. We still make the tea. Yeah. And we would like put it in a keg, and in our the way we got into it a little bit of being confident enough to figure it out was in our higher volume stores in Raleigh and Chapel Hill. We built like a keg system so that our most popular teas would just be on tap, not carbonated, but just use nitrogen to like push them.
Right.
And because it would be a faster, flow. Like it was all about ticket times when you're in downtown Raleigh, right?
Right, exactly.
And so anyways, learned a little bit about like how kegs work and all that, and decided, okay, let's try CO2 and carbonate some of these, and basically just put it on pressure and shook the kegs till it was carbonated.
Yeah.
And kept it refrigerated and tried it that way, and everyone liked it. And so we're like, awesome. Let's figure out how to can it. And went to, I don't know if you know Judd Watkins, but he owns Wrightsville Beach Brewery
No,
here
I
in
don't
town.
know Judd.
But he's been a good friend of ours and big tea fans. Him and his wife were customers in the cafe. And pitched him the idea, like, hey, can we get in there and experiment, like, in your brewery with how to do this? And so did it. And we were making, about a pallet or so of cans at a time. And, like, we would just put stickers on them and then take them to the cafe and sell them. And it's going really well. And so we were like, man, how do we scale this up? And basically, this is kind of where we, the fork in the road of what makes Tama Tea different from most beverages on the shelf is in the process of learning how to make mass scale beverage for distribution. Everyone says there's a bunch of terms, but flavor house and co-packers and all that sort of stuff. And essentially what they'll do is they'll make a proprietary recipe of extracts, natural flavors, preservatives, whatever ingredients, and they won't tell you directly what it is. Like you can look on a can of something and see it, and it'll say natural flavors. If you look at every beverage on the grocery store shelf, almost every, if you look at them, it's going to say extract this natural flavors or something, or a lot of sugar or something like that. And basically we were like, well, look, if you can't even tell us what's in the natural flavor, like that would be weird in our cafe. If you came in the cafe and I just squirted a little vial of like natural flavors in a cup and mixed it with water and stirred it up and gave it to you, right?
Tea,
yeah. Like we want to use real fruit, real herbs, real tea, and brew it. And then that's how we want to get our flavor. And so we stuck with that as our core like competency of like, this is Tama Tea. We use real ingredients. And so with that, we realized we can't go the normal route of a flavor house and a co-packer. We just need a bigger brewery because we know we can do it in a brewery. So then we partnered with Abita Brewery down in New Orleans. Yeah. And still partnered with them today. We go down there. I was just down there like not even a month ago, and we brewed this one and 2 of the green teas. So we have these 3 are yerba mates, which are like kind of our new thing.
Yeah.
They're higher caffeine, more of a natural energy drink.
Yeah.
More caffeine than a Red Bull in each of these.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have 3 green teas that are about 45 milligrams of caffeine. But all the same stuff. So yeah, so we partner with Vita, and I say partner, but we just use their facility. They're not like equity partners.
Yeah.
With us or
So
anything.
how does that work? It's just like, hey, like, can we rent your brew house for a day? Kind of
Basically,
deal.
yeah.
And they're like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, that's awesome! Like, yeah, we've never made tea before, but it sounds cool. Let's do it."
Wow.
And yeah, I just flew down there and like pitched them the idea, and they were like, "Yeah, let's make this happen." So, and we still go down there and do it with them, and it's cool because, like, when we make the lemon lavender flavor or even this ginger flavor, for example, like the lavender flowers in the brewery just make the whole brewery. This is a big brewery. They're like the 15th largest in the country, I think. And so it's like just everything smells like lavender, and there's all these big burly like brewery guys.
Yeah,
you know,
like
and they all love
hop
it.
heads,
Yeah.
like yeah.
But they all love
That's
it.
cool.
And yeah, it's a good little change up for them when we're down.
So when
there,
you go down there, do you like the crew that runs the brew house? Are they the ones that are like actually operating the system, and you're kind of there? Like, here's our recipe. This is how we do it, overseeing, or are you guys like literally? Like,
yeah, well,
doing the whole deal.
each thing it's a challenge because we're scaling. When we make a new flavor, for example, this ginger,
Yeah.
we're scaling it up, and it's not a linear like recipe. So yeah, so definitely getting involved and we know the brewing process and the science of it, like to the T of like, here's what we need, all our metrics to hit throughout each phase of the
Right,
process.
exactly.
And so, yeah, that's what we do.
It's like a big chemistry project. Huh?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then so this is there any type of fermentation that happens
No.
with this? It's
No.
just so like with it from like the day that you brew it to the day it gets canned. What's the timing? What time for that?
Abita is, like I said, they're massive.
Yeah.
So it's like instant. Like I
Instantaneous.
went, so now I go down and make batches, and one batch I'll make more product than Rice of Beach Brewery makes beer in a year.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So it's like truckloads and truckloads, like all at once.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
in and out.
So where's your distribution now? I mean, to make
Yeah.
that much product.
So so now we'll get into the business of Tamati.
Yeah.
Which is consumer packaged goods, but then the ready to drink beverage sector of consumer packaged goods. And it's like the most challenging business that I've been a part of, because imagine you have a big pie, right? And you got to cut slices off for everyone at the at the table.
Yeah.
And you got distributors, brokers, merchandisers, the retailers.
Everybody's gotta make a piece, huh?
Exactly. And if you got any third party logistics in there, and all those pieces, for a while for us added up to more than the size of the pie, like before we even got anything. So even some right now, depending on what retailer, when we sell for a while at Whole Foods, when we would sell a can of green tea, we would lose money just because of too many hands in the pot.
Yeah.
And but it's a business of scale. So you just have to outgrow those challenges, and there's kind of like a minimum threshold that you just kind of have to get to, and we're still not there. We're still taking investment and still growing the business that way, and we're pretty excited about these yerba mates because it's kind of a new sector for us, and we're like on the entry point of like we're blending tea with like energy drink sector. And the energy drink business is billions and billions of dollars larger than the tea, kind of sector in a grocery store. So, so these are pretty exciting for us. And these are just hitting shelves. We had the Rose Mate in bottles. That was our first like test run.
Yeah.
But now all three in cans. We've taken a step back on our strategy, and we basically in the last year took one step back to take two steps forward. And with that, we're launching all three of these on the West Coast, and we'll be on shelves in LA in like 2 weeks.
Oh
I think
my
it is. Yeah. And the
Through Whole Foods or
no, not through Whole Foods, through a few different retailers. Yeah. The biggest one is called Bristol Farms. It's like 14 locations, I think,
oh, cool.
in LA. Yeah, so we're pretty pumped about that because yerba mate in general is indexing like really high on the West Coast compared to the East Coast. And you can get in this CPG industry and then beverage, you can get industry data. That's you pay a lot for it, but you can find out like what's trending, whether it be flavors or types of things in various types of retailers. And
Yeah.
so anyways, in the natural channel, which is like a Whole Foods, type of store on the West Coast, there's a few big players in the yerba mate space. The largest being the big yellow cans. It's called Guayaquil, which you might have seen.
I think I've seen those around.
They're a big business, and they do their own distribution and everything. And we obviously think we have a premium product compared to them.
Yeah.
Being all organic, all real ingredients, no
Yeah.
natural flavors, no extracts, nothing. We're brewing yerba mate leaves with ginger juice.
Yeah.
So we think we'll try to take a little bite of that and see how it goes.
So
Yeah.
so for marketing a business like this, it's not how much of your marketing and advertising has to go into like educating the consumer about what our product is and like
Great question.
to versus like, hey, buy ours is better than theirs.
Yeah.
Like, where are you guys at in that
This is
cycle?
another thing we've learned, and as we've been going. So, we were pretty good at advertising. I would say pretty good. Pat myself on the back, but and it's mostly Rocco and Kelly that do the advertising. I'm more finance operations.
Yeah.
And but I would say at advertising like a retail establishment, like a Fuzzy Peach or the cafes. Like we were good at building that kind of brand.
Right.
And then this is a completely different business because you can blow so much money, and we have, on just getting the word out. But you have to get the word out at the point of purchase. So it doesn't matter at this size.
Right.
We're not a Red Bull that can just like go land an airplane on top of a building, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then that'd be cool marketing.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously we can't do that. And so what we need is to have the advertising at the point of purchase rather than like really super high end branding focus.
Right, exactly.
So what we did is the hardest part is getting the customer to notice it on the shelf and get it in their hand. And once you've gotten them to like get it in their hand, then you've earned the right for them to learn about the product and turn it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so we rebranded, the cans from what we had. Like our very first version, we thought was really cool, but a friend of ours, Tyler, we paid him with a bottle of bourbon to like do the design, right?
Nice.
And we thought, oh, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And once it made it to shelf, like you couldn't even see tomatillo on the shelf. It just got washed out. And so anyways, it's been a real, like I said, taking a few steps back or one step back to take two steps forward. And so focusing on the brand on the shelf and the brand block. Like you only get so many linear feet on a shelf at a grocery store, right? And you want to fight for as much of that as you can.
Right.
And you want to keep as much of that. And if your product's not selling well, they're just going to give it to the next product.
Right.
Because it's real estate and they need, high revenue. And so, so we're fighting for that on that end. And then as far as the marketing, there's a lot of unique things you can do. Like nowadays, there's even like direct kind of couponing, I guess you could call it. I don't even know how to explain it. But yeah,
heard of that.
Well, it's a terrible way to explain what it is. But it's selling. It's getting people to try the product and give reviews. And there's services that you could sign up for it and be like, I'm interested in hiking and surfing. And then like if there's brands that align with kind of what you're interested in, then this company will send you like, hey, go to Whole Foods, buy this off the shelf, use this coupon, and then write us a review or whatever.
Got it.
So anyways, to get like free stuff. So that's like a unique way. But then it comes down to you got to pay a lot, like slotting fees to buy that real estate on the shelf at the grocery store. They charge you a lot of money.
Yeah.
And to buy ads in the grocery store, we eat that cost. Like when you go to Harris Teeter and you see something on Vic Special, Harris Teeter is making their margin no matter what. it's the same margin.
Right,
It's
exactly.
the manufacturer has to eat that.
Right.
When you go to Whole Foods and it's on deal, manufacturer's eating that. And when you check out and you give them your prime, manufacturer's eating that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyways, you have to do that. And then you also have to do like in-store demos, because the best thing with a new brand or a new product like this is to get someone to actually crack it open and try it.
Yeah.
And so, we're paying thousands and thousands of dollars every month to have people stand in the store and say, hey, you want to try some Tamati?
Yep.
And customers are like, what is that? And it's like, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
And
then,
and that's marketing at the point of purchase.
And then you've got to have a good product too, right?
Yeah,
Because I love craft beer. I've that's something that I've been obsessed with for a while, and I even brewed my own beer for quite a while. So when you were telling me about the story going to Abita, I was like, that would be cool.
Yeah.
But I see in the craft beer industry, a marketing, one of the marketing, strategies is I'm gonna have the most colorful, coolest can on the shelf, right? And it kind of works. You pick it up. And then, you might buy it and then you drink it and you're like, oh, well, this actually sucks. So I'm not even, I'm not going to buy it again.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So you got to earn the right to, the first step is earn the right for them to pick it up.
Yep.
With the cool can, with the cool design, with a few key, what we say is like ping pong balls.
Okay.
Right? If I throw you one ping pong ball, you're going to catch it.
Yep.
Right? If I throw you 20 ping pong balls, you might catch 2 or 3. Right?
Yeah.
So what you have to do on the front of a can is decide how many ping pong balls do I want to throw at the customer on the shelf for that half a second that they're going to look at it, because they're only going to catch 2 or 3.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyways, that's how we describe that, and that's what we do.
So what do you think the outlook is and the future is for Tamati? What's the the vision, the big picture?
Well, essentially, we have to just keep growing it. I mean, I'm not tied to any necessary business. I'm super passionate about the brands that I'm involved with, especially Tamati. I probably spend 99% of my time on this right now. Okay. And then the other 99% on some other concepts.
I'm so glad you said that, because the name of this podcast is Fractional, right? And it's we spend fractions of our time on different things. And I always joke with people, I'm like, it all adds up to more than 100% in my life, and I know it does in yours as well, especially being a dad and a husband and all that.
Yeah.
But so
and I got Bigger's Market too.
So so that's what we've only got. We've flown through here. We got probably 5 or 10 more minutes. But,
oh, cool.
So tell us, I know you're involved with a lot more. There's more businesses. So tell us about the other businesses you're involved with, and just a little bit about those.
So Rocco and I have our consulting business on the side that we started back, I think, right after we sold Fuzzy Peach, and so we just run a few things through that.
Yep.
Or if people come and say hey, you need to talk to Wells or Rocco. They got, they can help you with your business right now. Then we'll just, charge a little fee, meet with them a few times.
Right.
But a lot of times we want to get more involved. So some people came to us a couple years back and wanted to do, and these were friends of ours, a temporary fence rental around construction sites.
Yeah. I remember you were talking about that in the neighborhood one time.
I was putting up a fence this morning. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Really?
I was. Yeah. That's why I got work boots on. Yeah. So, that's the other 99% of my time.
Yeah.
That's a cool little business because it's such a niche, and it's really just customer service focused. You're just dealing with big contractors, big builders, or, that are doing big apartment complexes or something, and they want to fence around the job site. Yep. So anyways, that's a cool one that we have going. No profit in it yet. It's one that you got to build up your inventory really big and then start to reuse it. And then that's when you can make a little profit.
Yep.
That's the fence company. Bigger's Market, got involved with that with Sven. Been friends with him for a while, and he wanted help, consulting help a little bit. And then he needed help. He wanted to buy out his other partner and build a new location and all that. And so he brought me in. And so I was like, yeah, this is a great business. Bigger's is really fun because it's not one that we're going to try to scale really big. We're just going to try to keep adding things to it,
I love it.
Which is less, big picture. It's not like it's going to be a $1 billion company or something, right? It's just a local produce market, and we're going to keep adding things. We added the live music and the alcohol, and we're building a kitchen. We bought the tanning salon to the south of our building. We're turning that into a big commercial kitchen, and we added delivery service this year.
That's right.
So Biggers is a fun one, and really like that. And then just recently, someone I met was, like, hey, here's what I'm working on. And I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. So what we're going to build is a lithium ion battery recycling facility.
Dude, that is so funny. Yeah. I had a lithium battery for a power blower, and I couldn't put it in the garbage can. Yeah. I'm like, I can't just throw this away. And it's still sitting in my house. Yeah. So let me know when you guys get that. Yeah. When you get that dialed in. How cool is that?
This is a big project, and I'm just like a small seed investor. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be like a $50 million project. Yeah.
So when you get into these businesses, how much of it is like sweat equity versus like?
I don't want to do it unless I can put some sweat into it.
Right.
Yeah. Because if I
you don't want to just be like, here's 100, whatever, and go run. No, you want to.
I mean, well, look, I have money in my E-Trade account, right? And I do that. Yeah. But no, for the stuff that's like not equities, I want to be involved in it. Yeah. Some buddies and I bought a beach house in the Outer Banks, and we have that on short-term rental, so that's another little business. So I think I had about a dozen tax returns last year. I think I'm gonna have 14 this year. Yeah.
So have you guys you've been so successful through everything.
Some things.
Yeah. So was there, in our last couple of minutes here as we wrap up, what was there one that was like a total just flop or failure and you guys were like, yeah, this just ain't it? Or have you been able to kind of push through on everything that you guys have started?
I mean, the one thing that I've failed on is I loaned a builder money to finish a project and then he filed bankruptcy. And so, but that's one where I failed because I didn't get involved. It wasn't sweat equity. And so that's where I was like, well, that blows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when I can get involved, like, I'm just going to put my head down and push through. And I'm comfortable. And what I've told somebody was like, I've become numb to the risk of business. And so, which is kind of bad. But I'll push through losing money almost too long, until I just know. But I always have a long approach. And so as long as I'm long on it, and I still feel good about the concept and still feel right. Even like Tom T, we started the company 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. And we're still going and we're still losing money. Yeah. 8 years later, right? Which is crazy.
It's like Tesla.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I think they're making plenty of money
but
now.
We're gonna, but there's still a path to great value and great profitability with Tom T. Yeah. So that's why we're still going hard on it.
What would be your one piece of advice to some young college kid who's kind of finishing up school? I don't want to go to corporate America. I want to build a business. I want to do something, but I have no freaking I don't have any good ideas. I don't I want to start a business. I think I can do it, but I don't have any freaking ideas. And I'm bummed. What do I do?
Well, you got to get a little bit of money first. Mm-hmm. But not a lot. Just a little bit. And so you got to get a job. Yeah. You got to have a day job. Yep. At least for a little while. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm probably the least introspective person that you can talk to. I'm not good at talking about my feelings or things that I know or things that I, am good at or anything like that. So asking me for advice is probably a bad thing. But I would, I don't know. I think once you just got to pick something and focus on it and devote everything you have to it. Don't go out with your friends and just spend your time on that business or whatever it is.
Yeah, and run some diligence.
Poke holes in it. Yeah, just figure it out. Make sure that it's something within your wheelhouse, and if it is, then I see no reason not to try it and just lose your money. Yeah, Yeah. Because if it doesn't work, you can get a job later. Yeah,
there you go. That's right. All right, guys. Well, that was an awesome story, man. From 22 years old, exiting your first business at 26 and everything along. And appreciate you coming on and appreciate you sharing some knowledge.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
And,
having me. It was fun.
Yeah, one last cheers.
Yeah. Glad you liked it.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks again for joining in. Stay tuned and go to our. Oh, I'm sorry. Where if I want to follow Wells, if I want to follow some of your businesses, where do I go to check you out?
At Tomatico is our Instagram.
Cool.
Or tomati.com. And then probably just Biggers Market.
Yeah.
Which you just Google bigger. I think it's just biggersmarket.com.
Sweet.
And then at Biggers Market on Instagram. Those are the two retail focused, companies. So
Awesome.
you don't need to follow anything else.
Go check it out, guys.
Yeah.
Tomati, Biggers Market. Thanks again, Wells.
Thank you.
See you guys. Hell yeah. Nice work.